Network Entertainment.
This is brought to you by Meralco.
Hello, listeners. Hello, everyone in PR and communications. Welcome to the Pioneer PRSP Youth Con in a podcast. This is Breaking Down the Buzz, and I am your host, Ed Timbungco, PR manager of Mang Inasal. I have had 3 decades of doing PR work, largely corporate, but I've also had the chance to work on the other side, creatives. And one of the hats I wear is that of a professor during weekends. Do you know that you're all part of history? Yes, you are. The PRSP Youth Con in a podcast is the first of its kind in the communications industry. Breaking Down the Buzz is in partnership with the Pod Network. This collaboration really shows how the different entities work together to create innovative ideas to reach more students and young professionals. By using platforms like podcasts, PRSP and the Pod Network deliver learnings to a wider audience. This is a pioneer event in the PR industry and for allied industries in using craft and technology for innovative and sustainable activations. Breaking Down the Buzz is a 12-part podcast series that tackles one different topic every podcast. The 12 topics are designed to be relevant to students and practitioners of PR and communications. Our discussions are current and fresh, and the talk points are direct, easy to digest, and very useful for school or your current work. In short, suitable for all young listeners and best for all ages. Right? So, without further ado, let's get started. PR and communications are so intricately woven into the marketing mix. And we're here to unravel the science behind the art of the practice in the topic Omnichannels, Navigating PR and Communications in this ever-moving state. Our 2 guests come from both sides of the fence, from client and agency. We have Mr. Chito Maniago, Director for Policy and Public Affairs of Pfizer, and also Ms. Diane Welsh-Capile, our Business Unit Director of DDB Philippines.
Hello.
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 Okay, so maybe we can start by telling our listeners what Omnichannel is all about, maybe from the perspective of the brand and from the creative agency. Ladies first.
Ladies first, please.
So, hello. Basically, Omnichannel is, when we define it in terms of the marketing mix or marketing communications, Omnichannel is really being ever present in different touch points and different platforms based on the target market or the target stakeholder or consumer that you are wanting to talk to. Omnichannel has been a buzzword, but it has really been evolving because of how people have been consuming information and consuming media in the past decade or in the past couple of years. Before, we really had prime time, as we say. We had those moments where everyone stops what they're doing and pays attention to a piece of media, and we call it prime time. But right now, as you know, information is everywhere, content is everywhere, and brands and organizations really talk to people at any given point of the day or within any channel that's available. So that's how we view Omnichannel, and that actually is how we're seeing communications and campaigns to be actually as a baseline point already. It really has to be Omnichannel already.
Thank you, Diane. So, Chito,
Fantastic. From a brand perspective, well, it's at the end of the day, it's all about winning hearts and minds, right? And for a brand person like me, an omnichannel approach would mean effective, efficient, and impactful communication of your brand, right? Um, and the world has evolved so much, no? Whereas before, tama si Diane, no? It's really just TV, radio, and print,
Yes.
Yes.
di ba? Nag-aagawan sa front page, for example. Or sa primetime noon show, right? Or sa balita,
Balita.
right? Oo. But now, in fact, no, the tides have turned, no, and parang you really have to dissect customer portraits before you even start defining your channels. No? You should know who to talk to. You should know what is the right time to talk to these people, and you should know the proper channel to be employed, no, to ensure that at the end of the day they will embrace the message you are conveying. So for us, more than really employing all the various channels available for any given brand, it is ensuring that you win hearts and minds. So that's how I would like to define an omnichannel approach for a brand.
So it's still pretty much the same foundation of brand storytelling. Nag-iba lang in terms of the channels that we use and how we use them now. Given that, sabi nga ni Diane, it's really being present and taking stock of the fact that they're always on, no?
Yes.
24/7. So mas stressful na ang trabaho natin. Ibig bang sabihin?
Omnipresent din tayo.
Omnipress, oo.
Walang tulugan.
Oo nga, kasi now I think we monitor, di ba? Hindi lang tayo basta tapos na yung material and then it gets out, okay na.
That's also an evolution of how media is consumed and how media is being delivered. You're right. Before, once we turn over the material to TV stations and put up the billboard, we sit back and wait for the report after a month or two.
Yeah.
But with digital and social media, you really get feedback almost real time because you get to see views, engagements, link clicks, shares, almost real time. That's why the landscape is different now. It's actually more two-way. It's more interactive between the
Agree.
brand and also your consumer.
And in fact, yung post-release is for me, the more important phase.
You get to optimize.
Exactly, because that's how you get real insights.
Yes.
And this is an opportunity for you to actually say, in a way, I have achieved my objective, but if I did not, is there a proper tipping point or pivot point for you to consider? Because we're talking about resources here at the end of the day. Yeah.
And I'm sure one of the factors we consider would be how to measure the impact of our PR efforts.
Yes.
That's right.
And the technology nowadays allow us to be more accurate, would you say, or more specific in terms of ano yung contribution nitong specific channel na to the entire mix. Is that how it is being done now?
I think in a way, yes, because before, if it's only just share of voice or impressions, in certain platforms, you really get to see how a piece of PR communications get to impact sentiment.
Yes.
Because real-time reactions are happening, even get to impact intent to purchase or even intent to avail of a service because link clicks are also happening. So before, that was not available for us, and we have to measure it differently. But right now, PR's contributions to a marketing mix has become more quantifiable, and that's also what makes it exciting for PR these times.
Yes. So from the corporate perspective, how has it changed the way you build the reputation of the company or of the brands that you handle, Chito?
Oh, definitely. It allowed us to have our eyes and ears really on the ground, no? It allowed us to be agile and nimble for us to react both for ordinary days and for crisis situations, right? It's really about determining opportunities when they are there. No, I mean, case in point, for example, we see a lot of fast food chains, right? Reacting to, I remember when Pia Wurtzbach won, right, as Miss Universe, parang they turned yung fries into Pia's crown, right? Parang ganung ka-impactful na visual, and it allowed them to, instantaneously, shoot up their sales in terms of crispy fries or whatsoever, di ba? Parang, that's the power of really having an omnichannel approach, because it allows you to be more grounded and linked really to your specific audiences. And yeah.
So yung case nung kay Pia, is that what we call trend jacking now?
Moment marketing.
Moment marketing.
Yeah.
marketing.
Trend jacking, yes.
So anong role ng PR doon sa moment marketing?
For us in the creative agency, essentially it's not really a straight up ad, right? It's really not an ad for fries, but it's really being one with the country and celebrating that win for us, and all all Filipinos were rejoicing over that Miss Universe win. So how brands come in that milieu in terms of PR is really being part of the conversation,
Okay.
or actually spearheading that positive celebration and conversation on social media about PS Win. I do remember that post, and it's really one of the most shared in terms of me as a Filipino celebrating it. I actually used that post to celebrate that win, and that brand reminded me and made me feel like they understood my joy.
Yeah.
So yun yung balik sa brand.
Yes.
Kasi I think
Yes.
even if you capture moment marketing, may challenge pa rin. So nasan yung brand in the conversation?
Exactly, Ed. No? If I may add to that, there is a downside to it though, right? Because moment marketing may be abused by some brands, and you as a discerning customer, diba, or stakeholder, pag nakita mo, this is really over the fence, diba? It's parang too much of a stretch already na anong kinalaman ng brand na to,
Yes.
diba? Sa affinity, for example, with, an athlete who won in the Olympics. Or you recall when Heidi
Heidi.
Yes, that's
won?
another
Parang
one.
lahat na lang, di ba?
Yeah.
Parang I would understand, for example, the brands who supported her and her journey, her trainings and all. But for some na talagang non-sequitur, di ba? Parang why are you even riding the bandwagon? So I think at the end of the day, it's about creativity tempered with thoughtfulness, right? You can't do everything. In the case of PR, Ed, no, you're talking about stories. You're talking about special events. You're talking about stakeholder engagements, right? You need to be thoughtful in such a way that, as a brand leader, as a communicator, you have to be 2 steps forward in determining what may work for you and what may not. So I think yun yung call out ko.
And how can a brand do that to be 2 steps forward? Coming from a strategy or a big idea?
Yes, because us as communicators, 'di ba? Parang our CEO, the leadership team relies on us to really have our eyes and ears all over, right? From clients to government institutions to the media, more specifically, right? For us to be able to be updated, with trends, with important news bits and updates, on whatever topic is affecting our brand at the moment.
Okay.
If I can also add from the point of view of a creative agency and how we work with clients on that is we're really partnering with them. We really are brand guardians, and we take care to tell the brand story. in the most relevant way possible. So that's what we always look at also. Relevance. Is it relevant to the brand? Is it relevant to the story that my brand is trying to tell? And is it relevant to my public that I am serving? So with all that's been said about moment marketing and trend jacking, I do agree. It has to be done with a discerning eye.
Yes.
It has to be, you have to be quick, but you also have to have your brand story clearly understood by everyone, such that when you come up with that piece, you say, ah, it makes sense.
Yes.
It makes sense. I buy it.
Agree.
Okay. So, within the context of omnichannel PR, can PR do more than just generating awareness about the brand? There is this discussion about performance marketing also. Nandun din ba yung PR in that regard? Like when you do conversion or maybe consideration?
For
How can
us,
PR contribute to that?
yes, definitely. When we develop an IMC campaign, PR is definitely not just in the awareness part or in the loyalty or commit part. It's actually also very active in consideration and conversion, because what PR does is it actually expands the brand story. It allows us to talk about things more in depth, more in detail, and when we create the proper mix of PR and its tools, media relations, influencers, key opinion leaders, we're able to craft an engaging story that people actually relate to and actually look for at this time. People get hit by ads a lot, but they're also looking for content and for information that they can relate to. And I believe that's where PR is right now. So when we develop IMC campaigns, PR is really right through the funnel, from awareness up until the end. And you mentioned performance marketing, and we've kind of like talked about that a bit, where we can actually measure that. We can actually measure engagement. We can actually measure link clicks. We can actually measure impressions, more than just the usual share of voice, right, and sentiment.
So mas naging demanding na ba ngayon ang mga bossing dahil in terms of measuring the impact?
Oh yes. Oh yes. I can say, I can mention 1 million yeses, Ed, no. Again, no, because I'm from the client side, no. I see how the budget cycle happens every year. It's a battle between departments, diba, on who gets this kind of chunk of monies, no. And how ultimately, right, this folds up or rolls up to your overall country business objective, diba? There will be a lot of questions in terms of how, at the end of the day, this will benefit the company. And some leaders, some bosses, no, it's really a numbers game at the end of the day. Let's face it, right? Although, of course, from my end, I always emphasize to my principals, it's always a three-pronged thing, no? The way I would compartmentalize it, Diane and Ed, is threefold. No, one is reputation, second is amplification, and then third is conversion, right? This is how we complement marketing as well, kasi diba? But for me, really, my biggest mandate is reputation management.
Okay.
Right? Because it's something you cannot easily measure. It's something you cannot easily convert into dollar units, right? But it's something which can make or break an organization, a company, right? We've seen a lot of CEOs talking in press launches, citing very damaging information, allowing for the company to go bankrupt and close the next week, the week after, right? Parang everything is connected and interrelated. What you say in stories, which can be material information, it may affect, for example, your stock prices in New York, diba? Sa stock exchange in New York. So you have to be mindful of all these things. It's for reputation management. And not just really sa investor and analyst community. when you say reputation management, it can be your government institutions, as I've mentioned, right? Maaring hindi nila bigay yung mga permits nyo, di ba? Or your license to operate. Or even media, right? For me, that's the that's the important facet when you look into reputation management, because really the media can make or break you as well, di ba? Because pwedeng factual, pwedeng hindi,
Yes.
di ba? Pwedeng one-sided, pwedeng balance yung story, di ba? And then you go to amplification, no? As we've mentioned, I really love what Diane mentioned, no? It's brand stewardship and brand love, di ba? Which is front and center, di ba? With you using omnichannel, an omnichannel approach to communicate your brand story, di ba? What you yearn for is brand love at the end of the day, di ba? Because it allows for brand longevity, and also brand affinity. And then conversion, yun ang gusto ng mga bosses, ng mga principals natin, di ba?
Yes.
You can't be parang just a cost center. Na nagbi-bleed ng resources, ng money, and then walang balik sa company. That can't be the case, di ba? So
Yes.
So to answer your question, yes, definitely you need to put specific metrics, of course, no, and key deliverables. For us, it's milestones, on a monthly basis on what you can and can't achieve. Yeah.
Okay. So when we talk about the omni-channel approach, we deal with earned, media, shared, paid. Meron pa bang additional channels now in the mix? And is there a formula on how to best manage this mix of available channels, both offline and online?
Well, for us, it's still earned and paid. So it's really just those two. And in developing that mix, it always has to go hand in hand, especially for campaigns that have specific marketing, business and communications objectives. Campaigns aren't really just about selling. As Chito mentioned, we're also out to promote or to encourage brand love, because that actually provides longevity for the brand. And what's interesting is, if you actually even invest in brand love, we've seen brands who stood up to crisis because people were defending them because of brand love. So I agree that it might not be quantifiable right now in this specific campaign, but as you keep on building that as part of your PR program, an evergreen PR program, then definitely that brand love will really come in handy, or will really be you'll really reap that benefit in the times that come. Earned versus paid media, sometimes really it depends on the budget, right? We have a set budget, and we always want to optimize on whatever we pay and whatever we implement. But essentially, it should always go hand in hand, because while paid really gives you massive awareness, as you know, shared or earned media has the ability to make your stories deeper, tell more about the brand, and engage more, actually, because how you tell the brand story in PR is quite different in an ad. And that's, for me, that's the benefit of it. You're able to tell it you have more time. It's not limited to 15 seconds. So it becomes more authentic, more engaging, and you're able to talk about it more in detail.
Your perspective, yeah. Chito.
Ako naman, when you speak about considering your channel mix, it really depends on the brand. I don't think you will be able to employ a framework, for example, yung channel mix mo sa isang FMCG company compared to
Correct.
a more conservative regulated company.
So it varies, no?
Yeah,
Per
and I'm really
industry.
speaking from experience, and then you know that. No, I mean, my goodness, yung aking journey the last 2 decades, such a roller coaster ride, my friend. No? So, when I was with GCash, no, yun talaga parang all out kami sa channels, no. And I really feel up to this very day, I'm very, very proud that I was once part of this fantastic organization. This was really instrumental to the tremendous growth of GCash over the last 5 years. When I was there, we had like around 50 million subscribers, and when I left, it ballooned to around 60 or 63 million already. It was because of the channels employed, including, of course, online. You have YouTube, you have TikTok, you have videos, etc. Yung PR namin, both paid and organic. But, I can't help it but compare, for example, my brand frameworks when I was with companies like Cemex, for example. No? Cemex, as you know, is a cement company. People don't use cement every day. For example, I mean, what I mean is, kapag nagpagawa ako ng bahay this year, di ba, hindi ko naman gagamitin yun hindi ko naman orderin yun
Dun mo lang
every
may
year,
isip.
di ba? I mean, probably after 5 years, pag nagpa-renovate ako, di ba?
Yes.
So, we really employed, other channels, no, incorporated in our channel mix. And for me, Ed, ang nakikita kong talagang nagmamature is yung grassroots form of communications. Quite tricky because sometimes agencies or brands may consider these as activations. But for me, iba talaga yung grassroots communications.
NPR is leading that also.
NPR is leading that, and may not necessarily be via an agency. Pwedeng internal lang, di ba?
Yes.
What are these? No? So for example, case in point, when we had a project with Unilever Philippines, the goal was to collect plastic laminates ng mga shampoo, toothpaste, etc., gatas, di ba? So that when we collect these should be used as alternative fuel substitutes for our cement plants. So it's a win-win situation for the community because they got parang free stuff, diba? From everything from soap to bigas to everything. Win for Cemex because we get to use reusable energy via these laminates, diba? And then win also for companies like Unilever because this is really their parang number one concern. Sustainability is really the most important thing for all sectors right now, whereas before parang it's just an abstract concept, diba? So for us, hindi pwede yung TikTok videos doon, diba? Hindi pwede yung good stories lang. We really had to immerse ourselves to communities, diba? Parang, and really convince housewives, mothers, the youth, diba? That this is a program which should benefit them at the end of the day. And it worked. So I think this is more and more employed, really by a lot of companies, no? So everything from comics to booklets to flyers to town hall sessions.
Yes.
You employ all of these. No?
In some companies, may mga dedicated teams, no, for community relations, government relations.
Yes.
How do you deal with the need to be consistent in all this? No? Kasi as the champion for brand reputation, the PR would necessarily have to make pakialam with how all these functions are doing
well, first of all, we need to be aware of the fact that really how structures are organized depends on the nature of the company, di ba? So, I don't think, for example, yun nga, parang kung FMCG ka na more on brand stewardship and management na kailangan mo, medyo less priority ang government relations. But if you work for a pharma company, for example, or a regulated company like water industry, etc., di ba? Or energy, that is really, a priority for the company. And sometimes incorporated yung government affairs sa corporate communications, right? Sometimes magkahiwalay sila, di ba? Sometimes isa lang yung marketing and corporate communications, sa iba naman magkahiwalay sila. So I think that's really the first step, di ba, to segment, di ba, how things should be done. And second, Ed, is in order to really promote consistency, I think really the left hand should know what the right hand is doing. And this is the common mistake of companies, no? Parang sometimes we communicate things na hindi aligned, for example, sa government affairs objectives, no, ng isang kumpanya. So you really have to have a fine balance of this. Yeah.
So apart from the challenge of consistency, are there other pain points in doing 360 communication for the brand?
I think Chito already mentioned that earlier. Omnichannel doesn't have to mean that you have to be present in everything,
Yes.
just for the sake of being present. It's important to ask the question of relevance, and if this particular channel, this particular effort actually adds value to your brand story or to what you're trying to say or to the public that you're trying to serve. So I think that's something that needs to always be asked. The question that needs to be asked. First, you touched on consistency. That's correct. It's easy to get lost in, what is trending now or what's popular now. But it has to be consistent with the brand or their organization. And the second for me is relevance and adding value, because everything we have to do at the end of the day needs to add value to our company, to our organization, and to the public. Yeah.
We're on to our last question. So what does the future hold as far as omni-channel communication is concerned?
It's exciting times.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's actually AI. There's a lot of technology happening that not only impacts communications, but also the way people live. And it's going to be interesting how that will affect people's behaviors, people's needs, wants, because at the end of the day, we're always also trying to mirror what they're looking for, what needs the society have, and what kind of communications do we need to reach them and be relevant to them, right? So it's actually quite exciting. We've all been we're here during the time of social media explosions, and right now there's TikTok, but after TikTok there's so many other things that are quite exciting, but at the end of the day, it would be interesting to see how these technologies affect how people live, and ultimately that's how we respond.
AI. How does your company react to AI?
Oh my goodness.
Use of AI.
It's a two-edged sword, definitely, no? It's either you fear it or you embrace it, right? Ang dami kasing sanga-sangang questions, issues, opportunities to speak of when you talk about AI, right? So in our company, for example, there's a lot of internal discussions on how we can go about it, but ensuring we do it the legal way.
Same.
That we are compliant, that we are not, basically, essentially, that we are following, for example, data privacy laws, etc. No? We've done a lot of workshops. Personally, I saw a lot of both parang excitement and parang, resistance from colleagues all over the world. But for me, I think my stand on this is everything will continue to evolve, right? Who would have thought that Friendster will disappear on the face of the earth and Facebook will be on top, but still as it is right now, parang yung Facebook it loses its luster, no, because TikTok has dominated the charts, right?
Yes.
Who would have thought na, for example, ang mga radio stations magve-venture na rin sa teleradyo, because they needed it, di ba? So I think, again, everything will continue to evolve for both brands and channel providers. So we just have to keep our eyes and ears open.
Yes.
AI, for one, is a very, very powerful tool and platform to dissect, to assess, and to consider. And change is very important. No, we just have to embrace it.
Yeah. On that note, thank you for an interesting discussion about Omnichannel. I'm sure if we will have this conversation a few months from now, mag-iiba na rin yung mga
Yeah.
dynamics, di ba? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's a wrap for this episode of Breaking Down the Buzz, the PRSP YouthCon in a podcast, in partnership with the Pod Network, a pioneer 12-episode series designed for students and young practitioners of PR and communications. We hope that you learned something from this podcast. Join us for the next episode as we continue to create online conversations on the topics and touch points that matter. Again, thank you, Chito, Maniago, Director for Policy and Public Affairs of Pfizer, and Ms. Diane Welsh-Capile, Business Unit Director of DDB Philippines. Heavy and hard-hitting topic, Omnichannel's navigating PR and communications in this ever-moving state, but a wealth of knowledge delivered. I'm sure yung mga papasok sa ating industriya, fresh graduates, would be dealing with a totally new set of factors, beyond what we've been discussing this today. So thank you also to the new channel for the tokens for our speakers. Wonderful surprises await lucky podcast listeners, so don't miss an episode and find out more at prsp.ph. Finally, PRSP and the Pod Network thank all the podcast listeners. We hope we shared some value to our chosen profession of PR and communications. I'm Ed Timbungco, your host, wishing all of you the best.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.